In a real studio, nobody opens your Houdini file. They don't dig through your node graph. They don't scrub parameters trying to reverse engineer what you did. They watch a video, and that video has to explain itself. When you're learning Houdini, Playblasts feel simple. You hit play, export a video, move on. If it looks better than yesterday, you're happy. But in a studio, a Playblast is evidence. It's a record. It answers questions before someone has to ask them. Because at some point, a supervisor is going to look at your sim and think, okay, what's the voxel size? Did the buoyancy change? Is this more particles or just different settings? And if the Playblast can't answer that, the review slows down. Not because the sim is bad, but because the information is missing. That's why studios don't send naked Playblasts. They send Playblasts with overlays. Not as decoration, not to look technical, but because overlays turn a video into something readable, like subtitles for your simulation, showing things like voxel size, particle count, key solver values, right there in the frame. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how to build a clean, customizable Playblast overlay in Houdini, the kind studios actually use, so when someone watches your Playblast, they immediately know what changed, why it changed, and whether the result makes sense, without opening the Houdini file and without a follow-up message. First things first, we need something running in the scene. This is only for reference. The overlay works with any setup. At the object level, press Tab and create a geometry node. Rename it Smoke. Dive inside. Press Tab again, search for smoke, and choose Pyro Configure Billowy Smoke. Drop it in. As soon as it's created, you'll see smoke in the viewport. You can play the timeline if you want. We're not tuning the sim here, just using it as a visual reference. Head back to the object level because we need a camera. And this part matters. If you create a camera from the node editor, Houdini places it in a default position, usually somewhere in the center of the scene. When you look through it, the framing feels wrong. Everything looks too zoomed in or off angle. That happens because Houdini isn't copying your view, it's just guessing. So instead of fixing a bad camera after the fact, we flip the workflow. Go to the viewport first. Move around, zoom out, and frame the smoke exactly how you want the shot to look. Once the framing feels right, press Tab directly in the viewport, search for camera, and create it. The camera is created from your viewport, same position, same angle. No surprises. A static shot works, but a little motion always helps. Set the timeline to frame 1. Select the camera, go to Transform, then Translate, and adjust Translate X slightly. To set a keyframe, hold Alt or Option on Mac and left-click on the Translate X parameter. Jump to frame 72. Change Translate X again, just a subtle move, and set another keyframe the same way. Play it back and you'll see a clean, smooth camera move. Back at the object level, create another geometry node. Rename it Playblast_overlay and dive inside. This object will handle all the text that appears in the viewport. Inside, press Tab and add a font node. By default, the font node can display the current frame number, but you won't see anything yet because the text is sitting inside the camera, nowhere near the camera view. To position it properly, add a transform node after the font and turn on the display flag on the transform. Select the transform node and go to Translate. Start with Translate Z and give it a negative value. This pushes the text backward in three-dimensional space, away from the camera. As you push it back, the text comes into view. Once it's visible, use Translate X to move it left or right, and Translate Y to move it up or down. If the text feels too large, reduce the uniform scale in the Transform node. Alignment can be adjusted in the Font node, but using Transform gives faster, more visual control. Play the timeline and confirm the frame number stays visible while the camera moves. Frame number is useful, but the real power comes from showing live simulation data. Before linking anything, duplicate the font node. This step is important. Houdini has a habit of overwriting existing text when you paste relative references, and the duplicate node acts as a safe buffer so nothing you've already written gets deleted. Go back to the smoke object. Inside, select the Pyro Solver Smoke node and find Voxel Size in the parameters. Right-click on Voxel Size and choose Copy Parameter. Return to Playblast_overlay. Select the duplicated font node, right-click inside its text field, and choose Paste Relative Reference. Houdini generates an expression linked directly to the solver. Select that expression and copy it as text. Switch back to the original font node. In the text field, type a label first, for example, voxsize:. Right after the label, paste the copied relative path using Ctrl or Command+V. The viewport updates immediately, and you're now seeing the voxel size changing live with the simulation. Any other parameter works the same way. Copy the parameter, paste it as a relative reference into the duplicate font node, copy the generated relative path, and paste it into the main font node with a label. Because the duplicate node is doing the dirty work, your existing overlay text never gets overwritten, and you can keep stacking parameters safely. If the layout needs adjustment, change the alignment in the font node if needed, then fine-tune the placement using Translate X, Translate Y, and Translate Z in the Transform node. Adjust uniform scale until everything reads cleanly. To change the text color, add a color node after the transform and choose whatever color fits your Playblast style: red, green, white, anything you like. At this point, you've built a reusable Playblast overlay system that shows frame number, displays live simulation parameters, updates automatically, and works in any Houdini project. Once this is set up, every Playblast you make becomes more informative, easier to review, and much more professional. So the next time you hit Playblast, it's not just a preview anymore. It's documentation. It's communication. It's your simulation explaining itself. In most studios, Playblast overlays usually include the frame number, voxel size, particle count, substeps, a cache or version label, and key solver values like buoyancy and dissipation. Exactly the kind of information supervisors look for during a review. Anyone watching that video can immediately tell what changed, what matters, and whether the result makes sense, without opening Houdini, without asking questions, and without slowing the review down. If this helped you think about Playblast the way studios do, make sure to subscribe. Not for tricks, not for shortcuts, but for workflows that hold up when someone else is judging your work. Because good simulations don't just look right, they explain themselves.